So what I've been doing is just making this a white screen, like 24 hours on YouTube, just so I have a light.
Yeah. No, that's good. Oh, like a backdrop light?
Yeah.
Nice. Gotcha.
This camera has been like malfunctioning a bit.
Oh, I love Margaret Cho. Damn, she's on Tubi? That sucks.
Who?
Why not just do YouTube?
What is Tubi?
It's like some streaming platform.
There's too many.
I know.
There's
it's
too
like
many.
Probably got 6 subscribers. But Margaret Cho's like a fucking legend in comedy. Have you heard of her?
Yeah, I didn't hear what you said. Look at this. This is how much we do it. White screen, 1 hour.
Nice. Second video on there.
If it ends, that's when we know we need to wrap this up.
Yeah, that's hilarious. Are we recording right now?
Yeah, I just started just for shits. We can start
How
whenever.
you doing, man? You look like hell. I told you that when I came in. You look like Michael Kuski went on a little train in the 1940s in Germany, Austria area. Took a little train trip that went a little too long. If you catch my drift.
The beard is it's just laziness right now.
Okay.
I've shaved it once since the incident, we'll call it. I went to go get a haircut today. So it's a fresh haircut. So
that's nice.
It was disgusting before, but I went to... This just freaked me out. I was like, oh, what are we loading? And I'm the one that purposely put up.
Right. I know. I have like so
screen.
much brightness coming into my right eye.
I think we don't have production lights. But I went to go get a haircut, and I was thinking, because it was so long. I mean, I look like I took that train ride for sure, and I've been on it for a while. I go, hey, just for shits, can we give me like one of those trendy mullets? And let's just see what it looks like. And I'm like looking at pictures online. I'm like, I could like do this. And she right away is like, I don't know if you quite have the hair for a mullet. I'm like, well, I don't want like a full-on trailer park mullet. I want like a baseball mullet.
Like a fashion mullet.
Yeah.
Like a fashionable mullet.
Like keep it short in the back, but a little longer, but like a little like raggedy on top. I mean, this is my first ski trip. I want to look like an absolute just disgusting
white
person.
trash to the nines. Hell yeah. Well, you got the facial hair for it.
Yeah, and so I was like, fuck it. She got so fed up with me being like, can you make it shorter? She goes, do you just want your normal haircut? I go, yeah.
Dude, that's so funny because she's probably just like, I can't have this guy leave like this getting his haircut from me, because then he's going to be like, oh my gosh, where did you get your haircut? Oh, I got it from Susie at Great Clips.
I go when I get my haircut because I have to go in the morning before work, so I go right when the Sports Clips opens.
Nice.
Like it opens at 9, I'm in the door at 9:01. Like I'm waiting in the parking spot, my car's running, they're like, oh fuck.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, and but so do so many people at that one, so I don't think she was ready to go.
I'm a Great Clips guy. I'm basically, you can check in online.
Yeah,
so I see what this like the shortest wait time is, and then I pick that one, and then I'm like, all right, we're going to Tosa, and because most of them are like 30 minutes, Yeah.
So
like I'll go to
well, that's why I go to the one right when it opens. So I'm like, I can be the first.
I'm bad at that. I wait until like I can't fucking take it anymore, and then I get a haircut like super impulsively all the time.
That's basically what I do. My girl was like, why didn't you get a haircut when you saw me the other weekend? I was like, wasn't quite there where I was like, I need it, and then I was like, I need one, but I also wanted to try the mullet. And
so what happened? You got AIDS essentially, is what I heard.
I had
went to the hospital for AIDS.
I had an emergency appendectomy on Christmas.
Appendectomy.
So I had appendicitis.
Yeah.
And the reason it was an emergency technically is it ruptured. So.
What were you doing when it ruptured?
It just happens.
Like, I know, but like, what were you, like, give me the whole scenario.
It's like, I'm not sure we really know exactly the details. This is my best guess. Christmas Eve, I went out with my girlfriend, her friends, and one of my friends the 23rd of December. Felt fine. I hosted High Note that night. It was going great. Wake up, 5 o'clock in the morning, Christmas Eve. The worst stomach pain in my life. And I've had it once before after a night of
cramping or like
cramping.
Okay.
And all over. And I've had this pain once before in my life in college after drinking wine, where I was like just keeled over. It was like hard to breathe. I was in so much pain. Like I was laying in the fetal position on my bathroom floor.
Damn.
And I was like, I don't know if I'm constipated. Am I dehydrated? Do I have a virus? Like what's going on? Yeah. Well, I thought I was constipated or dehydrated because I've had this feeling before. So I went to the bathroom, and Rachel's here at this point. She's here for the holiday, or was here for the holidays, And I'm like, I don't want to wake her up, so I like sneak into the bathroom. I shit 3 times.
Oof. Like,
And-
how'd the poops feel?
Fine.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, I'm going to feel better. Didn't I try going back to bed? Didn't feel better. Again, the same, like 3 times. Until like 10:30 in the morning, I finally was like, almost selfishly, I kind of like made more noise to wake Rachel up. I was like, I don't feel good. And then I'm laying on the floor. She's making sure I'm all right. I'm like, I think I'm constipated. I shit 3 times already.
Right.
And I was like, I'm definitely not constipated, but that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, what
I
I mean, you
shit
don't think your
anymore.
appendix is
Yeah.
bursting.
And when you think appendix, you're like, all right, it's localized to just where your appendix is. And it was all over my stomach. And then around, I guess, like 10:30, I started feeling good.
Okay.
I was like, okay.
Just thought it passed, basically.
Yeah. I was like, oh, okay. Like the whatever from me shitting finally subsided.
Yeah, and we've all been there. I
Yeah.
mean,
Turns out they believe once you feel better, that means your appendix ruptures.
oh, that's
So
terrifying.
like it got big, and that's where you're having the like the pain, and then
Yeah.
when it ruptures, it goes away.
That makes
But
sense.
now you have pus in your body, and it's basically just poison.
That's terrifying.
That's 10:30 in the morning, Christmas Eve. I took 2 ibuprofen. I felt great. Rachel finished baking for our families, and then we packed up all the Christmas presents. Went to consumer beverage for her dad, and we're walking around. And I don't feel good again. This is
Is this
like
like noon or is this 1 o'clock?
this is probably like 3 p.m.
So
and
that's
I'm like,
5 hours with
5
pus
hours.
hanging out in your bloodstream.
We think like I can't say this is when it ruptured.
Right. Okay. Like yeah, but it was ruptured when you got to the hospital.
Yes.
Okay.
So we do all this. I don't feel good. We go to her parents' house, and I'm sitting there. I'm white as it goes. I'm like, I think I'm gonna throw up. And I'm
Shit.
First time I've ever been to her parents' house too.
Oh no.
And so I'm like,
You've met her parents before.
Yes,
though, right?
I've met her
Okay,
parents
that's
before. But I'm like, I feel like I'm gonna throw up. I don't want to throw up at her parents' house.
good. Yeah. Oh no.
And finally, she's like, okay, we're going to go. I was like, okay, we got to go to my mom's because you have to open presents for my parents. So we drive to my mom's. She opens presents. My mom looks at me like, you don't look good. I'm like, I think I might be constipated. My mom's like, go shit.
Go shit.
Yeah. And so
What
I
are you
sat in
doing
the
here?
bathroom as my girlfriend's starting to open presents from my mom. Our first Christmas together. And I'm like, this is wrong. And then
Yeah.
my mom's like, here's a stool softener in case like this is the problem.
Good mom move. Good mom move.
They were expired, so I couldn't take them.
Bad mom move.
Thank God. Because I didn't need them.
Right.
So I then go and I drop Rachel back off at her parents' house because she's going to spend Christmas Eve with her parents. I drive back downtown to Milwaukee by myself. I think maybe if I eat some food.
What
it'll
time is
start-
this right now?
Dude, it's probably like 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock at night.
Fuck. Okay.
I think if I eat some food, it's going to help pass my constipation.
Right. What kind of food are we talking about?
I had
here?
tortilla chips.
I'd
I was
laugh
like,
so hard if you're like cheese curds.
Simple food.
Hey.
What's up, Jacob?
How's it going? Hey, we're doing a podcast. Yeah. I don't
You
know
weren't
if
here, so
I like your coat, dude. And your shoes.
okay. Goodbye.
Hey.
What? Like Z6. We're on the appendix story right now. Come back here. 2 ibuprofen. I pass out to like 11, and apparently it has ruptured. Maybe. I wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning, and I am basically crying. And I'm in so much pain again. I roll around for an hour and a half.
Now, at this point, is the cramping feeling like somebody's stabbing you?
It's
What's-
everything. Like, I just can't get
Fever?
comfortable. No fever, which is the crazy part. And then I forced myself to throw up 3 times. And so this is when I was like, okay, might be time for the hospital.
Dude, that's terrifying.
So I call my girlfriend, doesn't answer. You could run a train through my girlfriend's room, and a hurricane could blow the house over, and she wouldn't wake up. Call my mom, who like always wakes up, doesn't. So I get dressed, and I have new insurance. I'm like fresh off my parents' insurance. I don't know where I can go. I don't have the mindset to look it up.
Right.
So I grab my insurance card. I change. I drive. I go to my parking structure. I drive 25 minutes to New Berlin. My eyes are half closed. I'm off the road. I'm like,
Oh,
I don't feel
Jesus.
good. I get to my mom's like bedroom. I turn the lights on. I go, it's time to go to the hospital. And
Like I drive further than it would take you to get to a hospital.
Actual hospital, yeah. Because, well, here's the thing. If I go to somewhere out of network, do you know how much that would have cost me? I would have been homeless and then would have died by, I would rather die by appendicitis than die by freezing to death in Wisconsin, homelessness.
That's a good point.
And so my mom looks at changes, looks it up. We go to Waukesha Memorial. They admit me right away. I get pain meds.
Waukesha Memorial?
Yeah, I get pain meds. Anti-nausea. They put an IV in me. I go get a CT scan. They're like, it's definitely appendicitis. We don't think it's ruptured. And so then they take me to a room. It's like 7:30, 7:45 in the morning, Christmas Day now.
Oh, gosh.
And then about noon 30, I finally go into surgery. And they're like, yeah, it ruptured. It took them over 2 hours to clean me out. The surgery was supposed to only be an hour. So like this, if this is a routine one, we just remove your appendix and you're good to go. You'll be out of the hospital potentially tonight. It ruptured. They put me on antibiotics, IV. I stayed the night. I left the next day. Had Christmas at my parents' or my mom's. And then, dude, we're opening presents and I can't lift anything. So you're at such a high risk of hernias that I can't lift over 10 to 15 pounds. Oh, so
I love how everybody's like, they're just carrying on with Christmas. I mean, you might as well.
Well, I tried to tell them do Christmas while I was in the hospital. Like, just FaceTime me at opening presents. Because my brothers, they're not going to do it. I know. But I tried. And we're opening presents the day after Christmas. And, of course, like I told my parents get me the heaviest gifts. I got a cast iron Dutch oven.
Hell yeah!
So I like cooking. I'm like, I can't lift this.
Can you help me bring it to the car?
I had my brother open my presents.
Oh, no.
And I was like, because I can't move it. It hurt to like sit up, everything. And so,
dude, what's that feel like? Feel like that vulnerable? Because you're an athletic, strong guy,
dude,
always been capable.
Well,
I'm assuming this is one.
They didn't want me driving a car until you're comfortable like stopping abruptly. Do not drive your car.
Right.
I had that surgery Thursday, because we hired Brandon Wine as the other manager at the gym.
That's right. Yeah.
So he was training that week.
Oh God.
And so I drove Thursday and to see how he was doing. So dumb.
Jeez.
Got back. I was like, I definitely not ready to be at work. Finished the weekend off. Was feeling pretty good. Second week, healing great. Go in Friday, 2 weeks after the surgery. Done with my antibiotics. I have a show that Friday in Rockford. And they're like, you're healing phenomenally. I'm like, I feel good, but I have like a little head cold. I'm like, when it rains, it pours. Like, nothing's going well.
Did you do the show?
So I drove to Rockford with Daryl, did the show, could barely talk.
Jesus.
Did terribly.
Yeah.
Drove back. And that weekend was fine. Sunday, I started feeling a little off. And I was like, okay. And then Monday happened. Monday and Tuesday, I had steak for dinner, which I didn't know your appendix is in your intestines. So after the surgery, they're concerned about your bowel movements. My bowel movements changed to the morning instead of the afternoon. So every morning I'd wake up, you feel everything going through your body, and then you're like screaming. I'm like, oh God, this hurts.
Dude.
So I thought I wasn't processing red meat well. So I called the doctor because I'm like, I'm not feeling good. It feels like I need to pass gas. You know that feeling like a bubble that goes through?
Yeah, and it just doesn't go away.
And then it doesn't.
Though.
But then you pass gas.
But
it just never. It would go, and then I'd be like, nothing. I'm like, fuck, am I actually constipated now? And so I called them, like, just change your diet if you've had red meat, like basic foods. And my girlfriend's like, I forgot the acronym or whatever, like very basic, basically rice and toast and shit like that.
Saltine crackers.
And then that night, I go to bed and I wake up in what I would consider an Olympic-sized pool of sweat.
Oh, God.
I've woken up sweating before. I got out of bed and I am dripping. My hair is like stuck up and I go touch my sheets, soaked. It's almost like I pissed the bed. I then slept on top of my comforter, 2 blankets on me, soaked my comforter. I was like, well, so I moved over, 1 blanket, soaked. Finally let my body cool down. I was like, went to sleep. And I was like, this is what happened. They're like, okay, blood work, CT scan. Blood work, white blood cell through the roof again, higher than when I had appendicitis.
Jesus.
CT scan, abscess with infected liquid, formed 2 weeks after the surgery, which is a common complication of having laparoscopic surgery on a ruptured appendix. So I had an abscess form, and I found out
God, I'm
Friday.
going to be sick just hearing this.
2 weeks ago. This was 2 weeks ago. I found out, like 2.5 weeks ago or something like that. I got the CT scan, drove to work. So I was like, I didn't feel terrible.
Sure.
And I clocked in for 10 minutes. They called me like, you have an abscess, infected fluid. You need to go to the hospital and have it drained. And I was like doing research before because they're like, this could be a potential risk. And like, if it's small enough, we'll go to radiology and they'll have it drained and you'll basically be good to go. It's big enough, they have to put a drain in you. And this was the start of the worst hospital experience I ever had in my life.
Yeah, dude.
Because I go on Friday, I'm so mad. Because, like, if we have to put a drain in you, you're basically done. I'm supposed to fly to see my girlfriend Rachel the following week. I'm like, what are the chances of that? They go 50-50. They're like, I'm like, that's usually a no. And then I was like, I'm going on a ski trip. What is now tomorrow, when this is released today. And they're like, that's 50-50. If there's a drain in you, you're not going to fly and you're not skiing. And as a drain, I would have a tube sticking out of me. And they're like, you're going to get a drain. You're going to get a drain. I'm like, stop saying that. Like, maybe it's okay. The guy who did my procedure goes, you're not going to need a drain. This is so small. You caught it so early. I'm going to aspirate it, suck it out. You're good to go. They gave me enough meds where I felt like I was drunk. I was hanging out with the guys. I think I offered to get a beer with them afterwards.
Nice.
He showed me the yellow pus afterwards. He goes, you should be good to go. You know how unserious? Well, I mean, it was very serious because it was like trying to kill me.
Sure.
And they didn't know where the bacteria was coming from. When they were like, can we see like where they did everything and your incisions from your surgery? I lifted it up. There was a fucking Band-Aid. It was just a Band-Aid over the hole.
Over your wound?
Where my, like, I have 3 incision.
It is amazing how
scars
accurate they are.
From the laparoscopic one. But the draining it was just a Band-Aid. They just stuck a needle in me.
Dude,
Done.
That's fucking wild.
Absolutely wild.
Well, man, I know I told you this off camera, but I'm really glad you're okay. It's terrifying. I've never been in a situation like that.
You'll know, because people say they're scared, like, what if that happens to me? You'll know.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I'm assuming. I remember when I was probably, it was my high school girlfriend. We'd just broken up, and we'd broken up like 2 weeks before, and I was watching the original Transformers movie in theaters with my buddy, and I saw that Katie was calling me, and I was like, why the fuck is she calling me? So I like forwarded her call. Yeah. And then she called again, and I'm like, what the hell is going on?
Usually someone calls back right
so
away.
Then I answer, and she's like, hey, and she's crying, freaking out, and she's like, something's wrong, my stomach is on, like, same thing you were saying, my stomach's on fire. She's just beside herself, and she couldn't get a hold of her dad, couldn't get a hold of her mom was working, couldn't get a hold of her dad. She's like, can you please pick me up? So I pick her up. I was driving my mom's minivan at the time, and so like I go to her house, and broke up like 2 weeks ago, or 2 weeks prior to that.
But
you
probably
know,
saved her life.
Yeah, I mean, I dated her for like most of high school. I loved her, you know, and so I was like, I'll bring you to the hospital. So I bring her to the hospital, and then it's just like they find out her appendix burst. It wasn't nearly as intense as you. She like they snipped it. I don't think it was ruptured right away. I forget the details of it, but it was her appendix had gotten fucked up, and then she needed to get it removed. And I basically had to hang out with her. And then like once she was on pain medication, and they got it removed, and then I was just like hanging out with her for like 2 hours until her dad got there. So then I would like leave, but it was so awkward just hanging out with her those 2 hours after like she was fine.
And in the hospital, and they're so vulnerable.
I'm like, so how have you been?
Fucking miserable.
Yeah, I know. And I was like, I was watching Transformers for this. Before this, she's like, was it good? I was like, no, not really. But I mean, that was like my only experience with the appendix. But I realized, like, because when I picked her up, she was fucked up. Like, she was just beside herself. I had to carry her to the car. I was scared.
I couldn't. When we got into my mom and I got into the hospital, like, I was able to walk, and I was fine in that retrospect. Like, I drove to my mom. The doctors told my dad, like, your son's pain tolerance, and I don't mean this like usually like my pain tolerance is through the roof. Like,
no,
it's
dude.
actually there was like, it's just concerning that when we were poking on his stomach, like, he's like, that doesn't feel that bad. Like, even poking on my appendix, I was like, I was like, that's it. And they're like,
Interesting.
and then even when I had the abscess, they're poking at me. My surgeon was like, you were pretty stoic when it comes to like pain. I was like, I don't feel any of that. She goes, well, we're lucky we caught it when we did. Like, I'm almost happy I had meat I couldn't digest because that's where like came from. And they're like, then night sweats happen, and they're like, okay, yeah, we need to get you to the hospital.
It checked out. That is terrifying. I mean, even when you were telling me that like story, I was like, Jesus Christ, Michael's tough. Like when you're just not throwing in the towel for Christmas, you're like, we got to go to Mom's house now.
Well, I was like, I was like, everyone leave me, go open presents, FaceTime me, and my mom's like, no. I go, why?
I know. I
it
can just see myself saying that to my mom. She's like, are you fucking stupid?
It doesn't process that like that's my mom. I'm her son. She's like, I'm gonna watch over my baby.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
right.
Go do
Christmas can wait. Christmas can wait.
Yeah.
Well,
that's
dude, I'm
my
glad you're
second time
okay,
in the
man.
hospital on Christmas.
Say that again?
That's the second time I've been in the hospital on
What was
Christmas.
the first time?
I had an allergic reaction.
Oh, okay,
They
cool.
gave me a cocktail of drugs. I was so sleepy that day.
Yeah, I bet, man. I remember I was in a military school, found out I was allergic to cantaloupe the hard way.
Really?
And it was like, dude, it was super delayed because I remember eating it when I was a kid, but then it like developed when I was a teenager. So I went to this military school when I was a kid, and like we're all in bunks, like it's overnight, and I really stay there for a while. And so I ate a bunch of cantaloupe, and then my face swelled up. Like it looked like I was like Will Smith in Hitch. You remember that scene?
Yeah.
And so I like wake up like the next day, and my team leader, who's like the adult, like the drill sergeant of the military school, he like took me aside. He's like, "Hey, Rapier," and I'm like, "What's up?" And he's like, "You want to tell me something?" I'm like, what? Like he thought I got jumped or got my ass kicked, and he's like, "You need to tell me something." I was like, "No." He's
Wait,
like,
where was this? Like just a camp?
No, it's the Challenge Academy. It was a military school.
Okay.
So basically, I went to. I think I might have said it on the last podcast, but I went, or not the last one, but one of our earlier ones. I went to juvie for like 9.5 months.
You did not ever mention
Oh no!
that.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe it was on another
you just
podcast.
glossed over. You went to basically.
My bad. Yeah. Okay. So like when I was
jail.
a kid, I got in a little bit of trouble, and I got in a fight with this kid. I got in a fight with this kid at the skate park, just over some bullshit, you know. And I hit him, and he fell onto a quarter ramp, and then like cracked his head. Was like in a coma. It was terrifying, and it was a complete accident. And but he was, you know, they didn't know if he was gonna live or die, so I had to
Did
go
he
to
live?
jail. Yeah,
Obviously,
yeah.
you're here.
Yeah,
if he died, you're
yeah,
charged
yeah.
with murder.
He lived. Yeah, he does. So he. You know, it was an accident, but I ended up going to juvie, ended up being there for like 9.5 months ish, and then I had to drop out of high school because I was so far behind. It was my junior year.
Is that why you're so stupid?
Yeah, pretty much. No, I mean, hey, yeah, no, it is, man. But so I had to drop out of high school because I had missed so much school my junior year, and then I got out of Lincoln Hills, and then I was on supervision, which is like probation for kids.
Yeah.
And my social worker kind of knew I was like a good kid. I just like fucked up, you know, but I wasn't like, I never really was in trouble before or after
First
that.
time offense just happened to be pretty
it was-
unfortunate.
Yeah, it was bad. And so then she offered me, there's this place called the Challenge Academy in Fort McCoy, which is it's a military base in like right by La Crosse area, and they have a high school there for troubled youth, at-risk youth, and it's definitely like intense.
Yeah.
But so you go live on the military base, you get your high school equivalency diploma, and it is like a military, you know, they wake you up 5 a.m, you do PT, you do you know, breakfast, you go to school, then you do more PT and like build bridges, get like fun skills, all that stuff. And so I ended up going to the Challenge Academy, and I forget why. Oh yeah, and then I got the allergy reaction. That's how this whole thing got brought up. But yeah, so then I went to the military school, ended up getting my high school equivalency diploma, and then basically she had told me, she's like, look, Avery, you can try to graduate high school, but if you keep getting in trouble, you're gonna have to go back to Lincoln Hills, and you're gonna be 18 soon, and once you're 18, you get put on probation. But if you go to this military school and you graduate, you'll be off supervision before you're 18, and then nothing's going to be on your adult record.
That's
and I was
nice.
like, yeah,
It's
so
just wiped
she hooked me
clean.
up. She
Yeah.
saved my life in many ways. And like Melissa Clark, she was an awesome social worker. I was definitely a troubled kid, but I wasn't a bad kid.
But
I
it's
just,
also like
you know,
good on you to recognize like
yeah,
oh
for sure.
screw you, I'll be fine.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure she offered it to other kids that really
Yeah.
got get bent, but like, I knew because like, I lived in fucking Rhinelander, Wisconsin.
Yeah.
There's no future there. I needed to do something. And if I wasn't able to graduate high school and I'm stuck in Rhinelander, that's not a good
That's fair.
future,
Yeah.
And so anyways, I went to the military school. Then after that, I felt like I needed structure. So then I joined the Army after that, and I was in the Army for 4 years.
Dude, what? We've
How
done
do
how
you-
many podcasts? How
You-
have we not?
I could have sworn we had this conversation, bro.
Never.
No,
I know
yeah.
you were in the Army.
Yeah, I was in the Army for 4 years. I was a combat engineer, and then got out when I was 22, and that's when I met my son's mom, and then the rest is history. And then that's when I started personal training as well, right out of the Army.
Dude, I thought you graduated high school, you went to college, you liked fighting, you took up jiu-jitsu and the MMA stuff, and then you're a personal trainer, and you
So I started training MMA in the Army, and I just really liked it as part of like the combatives program, and I wrestled in high school and everything. So I just loved.
Were you stationed anywhere?
Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. I never deployed or anything like that, but yeah, I was in Fort Leonard Wood for a good 3 years, and then the other year I was just basically kind of going around hanging out.
Meanwhile, I thought like, oh, we're gonna talk about the appendix. I didn't know you
Oh,
joined the fucking
Yeah,
Army.
dude, I'm sorry. I could have sworn you and I had this conversation. Yeah, I mean, it seems like a different life ago because, I mean, I literally got out of the Army 10 years ago. It'll be 10 years this summer. So
Well, thank you for your service.
You're welcome. No, I mean, like, I didn't do shit. I really didn't do because, like, basically the unit that I was supposed to be attached to when I got out of basic training, or AIT, I'm sorry, like the advanced individual training, like for your job. So every soldier does basic training, and then depending on your job, you have different like secondary schools, So when I got done with my engineering school, the unit that I got attached to was already deployed. So then I got what's called not stop loss, and where I got sent to another unit which was like a bridge building engineering unit. Like combat engineers tend to blow roads up or blow bridges apart, where like bridge builder engineers, they build the bridges where you can get over certain places, So I was attached to them for a good year while my unit was deployed. And then they got back, so then they weren't deployed for another 17 months. So I basically lucked out just on timing. Like,
Where
really
were they
bad.
deployed to?
They were in Afghanistan, and like so I like lucked out completely, and then basically, and then at the end of the 4 years, I was just like, meh. All right, well, I kind of thought about doing a career, but then also at that point in my life, I was just like, okay, I feel like I have the discipline and the wherewithal to like be on my own without being a fucking psycho,
Well,
And
good for you.
but yeah, so then at 22, then I moved in with my brother. So then that summer, I got out of the Army. I moved back to Rhinelander and lived with my stepdad. And when I lived with my stepdad, I got a job as a janitor at a hospital at a surgery wing in nighttime. Okay, I'm gonna tell you. I'll tell you the whole thing. So I get a excuse me. I get a job as a housekeeper in a surgery wing at the hospital, basically just cleaning and sterilizing all the equipment at night. And it was a good job, but I mean, it's in Rhinelander. And my brother was finishing up school in Oshkosh. And so then he's just like, hey, man, you're out of the Army? Come live with me. I'm finishing up my senior year. We'll have some fun. You can get a job doing whatever. And I was already like training my buddies just like at home, just like for free and everything. And so then I was like, yeah, I'll get a job at Anytime. So I applied at the Anytime Fitness in Oshkosh, and then that was my first like paid training job, and then I did that for like 2 years, and then I ended up what was it? So then my son's mom was pregnant, and then we were like trying to date at this point in time, but then we broke up at some point during her pregnancy because we were just like, this isn't a healthy relationship.
Yeah.
You know, we can co-parent and all that stuff, but this part needs to stop. And so then she shortly after moved back with her parents after my son was born. And then I basically, for that year, she was very mad at me because I split things off with her and she, you know,
While she was pregnant.
Well, yeah, it was not great, but like I fucking knew, and now I was right, and she'll never admit it to me, but I know she knows that.
You
like
knew it was better for Ollie.
She's married now. She's happy. All the personal stuff with me and her, all the like anger, my son has never seen. He's never seen that. He's never seen her mom or his mom and I bicker, argue.
That's good.
It's been so like all the tension got squashed when he was a baby, and all his memories are like cohabiting. Like I knew because I could have made the relationship work until I pulled my hair out when he was like 5 years old.
Yeah.
If I do that and then he's 5 years old, then he goes from
that's damaging for the
that's
kid.
damaging because it's like two different worlds, and then she's gonna have you know, when she's mad at me, he's gonna hear about it, from her venting to her friends, her family, anything like that. But all the tension is going to be up in the air. Whereas now it's long gone. And like I knew this when I was a young
He's a happy kid.
Yeah, and she's she's married. Her and I, you know, we chit chat almost every day about Ollie, and like there's all that bad stuff is done. But so anyway, so she moved when he was newborn baby out, and then we kind of had like a nasty custody battle. I don't need to get into that on air, but so that took like about a year and a half where I basically had to work like 3 jobs just to pay off a bunch of lawyer fees and everything. So I stayed in Oshkosh at that time. I was delivering beer, I was training people, and I worked at a Valvoline all at the same time. Okay, and I was training and I was fighting at the time. So it was just I was fucking killing myself, but we ended up getting custody. And then once I got custody, then I my girlfriend at the time, her and I moved from Oshkosh. She had graduated from Oshkosh, and then once I got custody, we moved to Milwaukee, and then her and I dated, and then I got a job as a trainer in Franklin and been training ever since.
At Innovative, right?
Yeah, at Innovative. Oh, yeah. You're a Franklin kid.
I was wondering if you ever, like, we were talking about that, if we ever crossed paths, you were there. But what years were you there?
2016 to 18.
Yeah, no, I had just graduated high school. I was in college. I was a sophomore to senior.
I love that gym, dude. I go there like probably once a month still just to go work out and everything.
I liked it too. Some people are like, screw it. I remember working out there at the time, and it was $20 a month. And everyone's like, dude, that's so expensive. Why are you paying that? Like, why would you just work out at the high school or go to like a Planet Fitness or anything? I'm like
$20
$20 a month.
Gym.
You know how cheap it is? It has a pool. It's got shower. Like it's got
steam
full
room.
Steam room, everything. And now like the 2 anytimes I'm helping manage, it's damn near $50 a month.
I was gonna say my
and you're
gym's
locked
$60
into
a
it,
month.
and you're locked in a contract for it.
Yeah, I mean,
like,
but I know, but like $20 a month. I think, and I'm pretty sure Innovative is still $25.
Do you know how many more members both of our gyms would have if it was $20 or $25 a month?
Yeah, but
you don't want that.
No,
either.
you don't want that. I want, like, for our gym, we want not it's super expensive, but we want it like enough, like where it's like this has to be a priority of yours. We don't want like
people
a lot
fucking around.
Yeah, we don't want a lot of traffic.
You don't want
quality,
the Planet Fitness people where it's like, oh, it's $10. I have a gym membership. I could go whenever I want. I'm gonna bring 19 friends in and then set up a tripod and fuck around and do parkour.
No, we actually had an issue with people sneaking people into our gym, and then we kind of had to like be a little tighter with security. It was
I have it all the time.
Huh?
I have it all the time.
Do you? Oh yeah. I'm sure you do.
24/7.
Dude, what do you guys do? What's your guys' protocol to deal with like that stuff? Because we're like in a position where, anytime is a franchise, I'm sure you guys can just be like, hey, member abusing this, fuck you. Not fuck, I mean, you're not going to say that, but like, we don't want to, like, we're scared to like lose memberships, at sometimes. So like, sometimes we're just like, hey, don't do that.
Yeah.
But then I feel like that's not assertive enough.
It's really tough because I think it's easier for you because you guys don't have as many people. It's not a franchise, so you can look at the cameras for a whole night, and it'll take you maybe an hour. I'm not going to sit and watch footage of everyone clocking in and out of that gym from 6, 7 p.m. to 8, 9 a.m. when I'm not there. And so there's only so much I can control. Now, if you're unlucky enough the days I'm looking at the cameras, like, because every once in a while I check, we have what's called a gate. So when you walk through our front door, there's a timer and a motion sensor. So it lets me know if you either take too long for the motion to pass through or more than one person comes in. So if 2 people come in but only one key fob was scanned, it literally says, "Welcome, visitor."
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now, if I scanned in and I take my sweet time to get from the main door into the building, it'll still say "Welcome, visitor" because it thinks more than one person are coming. So every time the gate triggers, I get an alarm or like it'll note. So I could look at the gate, but that happens all the time because people will like open the door and then look back, and then it's like, "Oh, welcome, visitor," or,
Right.
or they open the door and then they're putting their keys away and stuff like that. So in terms of what we do, if you're unlucky enough that I catch you during those hours, you're going to get a warning at first. If it's one person, if I see you and you're bringing like 9 people in, good fucking luck. Like, especially this past month with
New York New Year's resolutioners too.
Well, no, this past month with me not feeling good.
Right, yeah.
Like, I remember texting or being on FaceTime with Rachel, and I go on like a Sunday night, and I'm going back to work, and I go, I pray for the first person that asks me a dumb fucking question because it's just gonna be like, you know what, goodbye. You no longer have a membership here, and it was just like, why is there no toilet paper in the bathroom? Like, get the fuck out.
Because you're a piece of shit. And
exactly. So, I mean,
we
we have a thing. I asked about it this week actually. I was like, because the old owners you could find them. So, if you have their cards on file, which I'm assuming you do for a lot of them, you can just find them. You can institute a policy that basically says, hey, if caught bringing in more than more people than your membership states, you're fined X amount of dollars per person. Oh, and then you get 3 strikes and then you're out
of here.
So like
that's a good idea.
You can make the fine so significant that after 3 strikes, if they do commit it, it pays for like a year membership.
Right.
But basically it does, because for a while ours was, if you bring someone else in without permission and they don't sign it, one, it's a liability risk for you. They get hurt there, you're fucked. So it was like, you bring someone in, it's $100 a person. And I had a guy bring 4 people in front of me once, and was just like, well, I can't do that. I go, no, there's a reason it's locked, asswipe.
Right. That's why you had
to
sign up for a membership.
Like, I would rather if you ask me, like, hey, can I have my guest today? And you're nice about it. Sometimes I'm like, yeah, don't pay the day pass. I hope my boss doesn't hear that. But I'm like, but also, like, 9 times out of 10, those people are like, oh, I think I might sign up here.
Right.
And so it's like a trial run.
But just being sneaky about it.
But being sneaky about it, trying to sneak in. I'm literally at the front door, and you bring 4 people in, and you just keep your heads down. I'm like, hey, I know the you.
Members.
I know everyone here. I'm here 9 to 10 hours a day.
I know.
Like, I know who
it is
goes
kind
here.
of insane when people try to do that. It's like, I like essentially I'm here more than I'm at my house.
Yeah.
You know that,
the
right?
only tough part is when, like, an anytime membership, if I'm a member at this one, I can use all of them. So there are people that walk in, I'm like, are you a member? They're like, yeah. I go, where? Like, fucking Ozaki? Or I've had someone be like, oh, sorry, I'm here from Alabama. I'm like, yeah, that's why I don't fucking know you.
Right, right. But usually, like, the members, the people who come in, like, they'll be like, hey, I'm here. They'll make it, like, where they're not trying to be invisible.
Like this. Yeah, just one of those. But, yeah, start finding them, like, $100 if they bring in an extra person.
Good idea.
And then, let's say it happens 3 times over the course of 2 months, you get what? They're $120 in monthly dues plus $300. That's half a year for you already, and you get rid of them then, and you have half a year payment as a cushion.
Not to change the subject, but it just entered my mind. How are you feeling right now? Great. Like, appendix wise?
Great.
Like back to normal, or like, are you on any lifting restrictions? What's like?
Yes and no. first 2 weeks, 10, 15 pounds.
Okay.
After my checkup before the abscess, they upped it to 25. And and I'll get to it, sorry, but this was funny. During the 10 to 15 pound restriction, so this table we're at, it moves.
Yeah.
And I had it, and he noticed it when he left one day, that it was like all the way over. And so I put my feet on it once, and it just fell. And this is a heavy table.
Yeah,
and so and Jake wasn't home, my roommate, and I go, well, it's just gonna stay here now.
Oh no!
And then I would start cooking, or I wouldn't cook, or I'd throw something away because I was eating like frozen food.
Yeah.
So I
Can't
had
cook
no motivation.
for shit. Yeah.
And I'm like, I can't even take my own trash out. It was
man.
like, you feel like a useless human being. I didn't feel good. I couldn't do stand up, dude. I didn't have a personality for a month.
Man.
And so the last 2 weeks, I finally felt good. And I
Have you been back out doing comedy at all since?
Yeah,
then?
last week I did like 4 in a show.
Oh, good.
So,
okay, cool.
It felt so good to be back, and I owe a lot of that to Rachel, because when I went to visit her and I got the clear to fly, she's like, we're going on walks, and I would be like in pain. She like basically was like, shut the fuck up.
Right.
Like,
we're doing it, Michael. Yeah, shut up.
And I was like, it hurts. She's like, does it that bad? I'm like, you know what? Fuck it, fine. Can't be a pussy for her.
No, it's good.
But it was good
it's
because
good.
then at the end of that weekend, I was like, I don't have that pain anymore when I'm walking. It was almost like breaking up scar tissue. And then I had my checkup. When I had the checkup before I went, I go, what's my physical activity, like, restrictions? And, like, you're fine. You're basically healed up. At the end of 6 weeks, they said it's the max, which would be the end of this week. If it hurts, stop.
Sure.
So basically, and so I'm very worried about hernias, which that's the first 2 weeks. It's gone, but I'm still like hesitant of going too heavy. So last week I did like 3 workouts at about 50 to 65% of what I was doing, but I also haven't lifted in 4 weeks, so I can't do a lot of it. I lost 12 pounds.
Yeah, I know you look smaller, man. I mean, like, I'm glad
skinny.
you're okay,
Yeah.
but yeah, noticeably
I put
lighter.
a few pounds back on already, which is nice. And then this week I've worked out. I worked out today and yesterday, but I'm like at about 75%, 80% now. But I'm very conscious about like any pain I have. I'm doing very like all body weight core stuff. But I mean, in terms of like, I thought the abscess would set me back.
Sure.
But when they put the Band-Aid on, I was like, okay, they probably didn't set me back. It was just the surgery where you're like, you have no core.
Well, yeah, I mean, like I don't know if the abscess is the same, but like I've had my ears drained a million times, you know, and like every time you do it, it just feels better afterwards. You're like, oh, okay, good. It's
I just
get the pus out.
I didn't
of there.
really have. Once I was in, they drained it. I was like fine, dude. That was the worst hospital experience of my life,
dude. Yeah, I mean, dude, terrifying me when you said it.
No,
dude,
not the appendectomy itself was a breeze. They IV meds. They're like, whatever you need, we got you. Like,
was it because it was Christmas morning? You think, and it was just like
maybe, but I was also in the ER, so
yeah, this should be ready to rock.
There's a difference between the ER and just like a normal floor, which I've learned, and the hard way. And
I've never had to go to the ER, man.
Everyone who's heard this story a million times already, like Brandon's heard it so many times with working with me now.
Oh, sure.
Everyone asking, and I've told it so many times. But
what's it like working with Brandon?
Dude, he's killing it.
I bet. Yeah, no.
He is the leader of the Wisconsin market for Anytime Fitnesses.
Wow.
Yeah. He also has like the biggest one in Wisconsin, so it helps. But he's killing it. He's had a shit show of like, it's a dumpster fire there. But okay, so this hospital stay. I go in, I get it. I go in and on the main floor, they like go over all my stuff. Like, this is what's going to happen. They send me up to a room. Like, do you want a wheelchair? I'm like, I can fucking walk. I'm so mad at this point. I have like 3 nursing students in my room, and then the actual surgeon. I'm like, are you okay if they're in here? I'm like, do I have a say? And I'm not nice. And I'm like, I want to be out of here. You're telling me I'm going to have a drain for like 2 weeks. I'm not going to be happy. I go to my room. I'm like, okay, we have to put an IV in you for fluids because you can't eat or drink for a while, so we need to keep you hydrated. And then you're going to have IV antibiotics. And I was eventually in that hospital Friday morning till Sunday night on IV antibiotics. So they go to put the IV in me. And this lady, older lady, she's like, when you have an IV, let's just start there. Where would you think they put it right away?
Like veins on your arm?
Okay. So she's like looking over here and she goes, I got one, I think. And I'm like, that's my bone. And
Dude,
so,
you're veiny as hell, though.
I'm
How'd
so
she
veiny.
fuck it
Yeah.
up?
Well, so then she tries putting one in. She finds one like on this side and misses. And I'm like,
You're in the wrong line of work, lady.
I'm like, okay, I had no problem with needles going into this.
Yeah.
None. I'm like, that initial poke, like, and then once it's in, you don't even notice it. So she goes and she's like, I got someone else. They're going to put it in. They're a little better at this. I'm like, both my mom and I look at each other like, thank God, 'cause we don't think she knew what she was doing. And so this new lady comes in, doesn't say a word to me, like nothing. And she goes to my other arm. And she goes right here. And
Dude, I could see your veins like from here.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
So she goes right here. And she goes in and she's just like, she goes in and it's like she started mixing pancakes together. And I was like, what are you doing? Like she missed and was just like fishing for it.
At least at that point, you're not thinking about your stomach.
My stomach didn't hurt for the abscess.
Oh yeah, that's for the abscess.
Yeah.
My bad. I'm thinking
And
this
so
is
I'm
in
like,
the ER.
Fuck. I'm like, and now I'm like, oh, and I'm making noises. And my mom's like, Jesus Christ. Pulls it out and she goes up here.
What the fuck?
Yeah. So the reasoning the nurses didn't want to put it here is because like you can't bend your elbows and like stuff like that. I'm like,
Okay.
at this point, all right, you're 0 for 2. So she goes here, starts digging around again, and you bleed a little bit when they pull the needle out of you. I shot blood out all over my sheets, and they never changed my sheets that night.
Cool.
So I slept in the bloody sheets.
Sweet. Yeah, make yourself comfy, Michael.
And I shot blood out, and at this point, I'm like, get it out. And I was like, I'm feeling really lightheaded. I'm super warm, and I'm nauseous.
God.
And I was getting dizzy. I'm like,
God.
I've never almost passed out in my life. And I go, I think I'm going to pass out. She doesn't say a word. And I go, can I throw up? Because I know I can't have liquid in my body in case I like aspirate or something like that during surgery.
Oh, yeah.
And I think aspirate's the right word. I don't know. But
Asperger's.
yeah, so I have it. And so I'm like, can I throw up? And she doesn't say anything. And my mom was like, can you stop? This is hard to watch doing to my son because the needle's still in me at this point.
Yeah, I bet your mom is just freaking out.
And
dude.
so we're like, what's going on? I'm like, can I throw up? She goes, well, it wouldn't be a great thing.
Okay.
I'm like, okay, because I'll hold it then. Like I could hold it down, but I might pass out. And so I'm like, I need to go to the bathroom. Can I throw up?
Yeah.
And I yelled at her, I'm like, if I throw up, would it delay my procedure? She goes, no, it's just never great to throw up. I'm like, then fuck you.
Yeah.
And I get up. After I said I was going to pass out, and after talking to my girlfriend, who's a nurse, she's like, she shouldn't let you walk by yourself if you're like, I'm going to pass out. And so I walk by myself to the bathroom, close the door behind me, ass out in my gown, and I'm sitting on the floor. I'm hugging the toilet because it's fucking cold. And I'm like, I'm trying not to pass out. I almost throw up. And I finally get like enough strength and I get up. And this is weird. I'm like, I have no problem with needles, but like, she was digging around so much that I was like,
Yeah, dude. Just because you don't have a problem with needles doesn't mean you enjoy being stabbed.
I was a pincushion. And
Yeah.
so I come out of the bathroom and she's just standing there and she's like, well, we still need to get the needle in you. I'm like, you need to get out of my room.
Yeah, you need
And
to
I
leave me
forced her to
alone.
leave my room. And she left all her stuff in my room, like syringes, needle, all that. I'm like, if I was a junkie,
Yeah, dude, you just hit the jackpot.
I was like, this isn't good.
The liability.
And so I finally I'm leaning over the edge of my bed. My mom's fanning me with stuff
Yeah,
to like
she's
pull me
probably
up. She goes,
freaking
you're
the
white
fuck
as a
out.
ghost. I get in my bed. I'm like, we can't, like, what's going on? Like, the ER people had it in a second. They come back up, like, we have an ER nurse coming to put one in. And this guy, I think his name is Ben, Matt, or Josh. But I looked at him and I'm like, hey.
Ben, Matt, or Josh, get it
Yeah,
together.
I was like, listen, is there a reason they send you? He goes, we do this all day, every day. This is going to take 2. He looks at me, he goes, you have amazing veins. Let's take 2. He goes, I see one right there. We're going to put it in there. I go, okay. I've heard that already today. If you do not get it in the first try, I will throw you out this window. And he's like, understood. 2 seconds. Boom, boom, in. And he, like, flushed it. And he's like, you're good to go. He goes, you're not going to want to bend your... I'm like, can I bend my elbow? He goes, yeah, it'll be a little uncomfortable because there's some plastic in there, but you'll be okay. I'm like, okay. I'm like, great, we're done. I go to my surgery or my procedure, come back, and I spend a night in the hospital. And then they're like, all right, you're staying another night. I'm like, why? Like, why do I have to be here another night? So I'm going to bed that night. And
why
by the way,
no
one's really monitoring me.
Why did they say you had to stay next to
I had to be on IV antibiotics until they got cultures back from the abscess because they don't know if it was bacteria from my initial surgery that just fought off the original antibiotics or if I had a leak in a bowel or something.
Right,
but they needed to figure out what antibiotics would kill it.
Gotcha.
And so I understand that now. But I go and, like, no one's monitoring me this whole trip. Like, I had to take a shower once. They unplugged me and then didn't come back for 2 hours.
Nice.
And I was like...
What hospital? Waukesha Memorial?
Sure. We'll say that.
Oh,
because
I forgot which one.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, it is. Because the first
surgery
was great. Then I'm looking at my elbow because I asked one of, like, the nice nurses I had. I go, it's starting to hurt a little more. Like, it just, like, it kind of burns and I'm not bending up. And she's like, well... is it swelling up? I go, no. He goes, well, if it swells up, let me know. It means it's, like, infiltrated or compromised. I'm like, is that bad? He goes, no, it just means it's no longer going in your vein. Everything's just going into your body, which isn't bad. Like, you'll be fine. Like, you're totally fine. Your body will absorb it. But, like, we'll just need to put a new IV line in you. I'm like, okay. And so all of a sudden I, like, look down before I go to sleep, and my arm's the size of a baseball.
Oh,
like,
fuck.
right here. I'm like, cool. So I stand up, I unplug my machine, I take it out to the hallway. No one's at the nursing station. I'm like, cool. I go, I find someone just like in a cubby. I go, excuse me, miss, would you think this is swollen? And if it is, should it be? She goes, it is, and no, it shouldn't be.
Oh, God.
I'm going to find you a nurse. So I go back to my room. And super nice ladies I got. And first lady comes in, she goes, we have to put a new IV in you. I'm like, fuck me. And so she comes over here, this nice, like, main vein, and she sticks me, and she goes, fuck, it blew right through. So she just, like, basically popped a vein and ruptured a vein. But she did it so quickly, didn't dig, and brought it out. Like, my standards were so low.
Right.
I was like, okay, that's fine. She goes, you know what? I heard what happened before. I'm going to go get the head nurse in charge. She's going to put it in you. You're going to be fine. Head nurse found a vein right here. Took her just a little, not digging, but, like, she goes along the side, put it in, didn't hurt at all. Could bend my elbow. Totally good. 6 tries, 2 IVs, and then plus blood work. Dude, I was a pincushion.
I am gonna puke just hearing about that, dude. That is fucking gross. Oh my God. So this reminds me of a story. You were saying, like, you don't mind being stabbed, you don't mind needles, all that stuff, right?
No, obviously, like, it's not fun, but, like, that initial and then
so
you're like, okay, it's over.
You saw how squirmish I got just from you telling me about it, right? When I was in the Army, I actually joined as a medic. Okay, I joined to become a medic, because I was like, I'll become a medic. Maybe I'll become a paramedic after the military. I'll get a skill that will apply to civilian world, right? And so I get through basic training, go into medic school. And we got to stick people with needles, bro. You think I was grossed out from you just telling me that? You should have seen me trying to stab these guys. I was like, you know what? I don't want to do this. Yeah. I was like, I'll take any other job. Literally any other job I'll take.
I talked to Vegas afterwards because he was super nice. But he goes, I heard whispers. I was like, of what? Because you had, like, a surgery. I'm like, I had an appendectomy, which is crazy because first time I went to Laughing Tap after the surgery, Caitlin, who runs it, was like, my friend just had an appendectomy. And then last week when I was at the Improv, Ton came in. He's like, I had bacterial appendicitis. Like, means it was just getting bigger and smaller, bigger and smaller. I'm like, did you have to get it out? He goes, no. I'm like, dude, what's in the fucking water here?
Dude,
It's
it
the
is
new
crazy.
COVID.
Yeah, well, I feel like it's one of those things that it's pretty common because I've worked with a lot of people that I'm like, have you had, like as a personal trainer just throughout the years, had any surgeries? And like appendix is pretty common. And it's one of those things that I feel like probably you don't anymore because you've experienced it, but you take for granted because had this been 100 years ago,
You're dead.
You're fucking dead.
You're dead.
And a horrible death. A horrible, horrible death where your like guts are literally getting poisoned internally. For a while.
It's crazy. And I take for granted, you take for granted your health too, even if it's not great now, but just the last month I've gone insane. Granted, my job, half my job is to train people and move and exercise.
Yeah.
And then the nightlife, the stand-up comedy, I'm like, I'm so tired. I can't do anything. I can't drive a car. I can't go anywhere. Like, I'm just stuck here. So for a month, I did nothing. And you're like, I can't wait to just simply move, like stand up, feel good, it not hurt when I like pee or stretch too far. My bowel movements don't like. It's crazy.
It kind of
how much you appreciate. Like, I just want to move.
The ability, like your body and like being in good shape, you do take for granted because everybody does. I feel like, but it kind of makes. I feel like it'll help you relate to a lot of clients in the future. People who don't have like maybe they're morbidly obese, maybe they have super
absolutely.
intense issues like mobility issues where it causes them super pain. So you'll know
kind of what that pain is like.
Yeah, and how maybe lost and like down they feel because like you've now experienced feeling like hyper vulnerable. You know?
Dude, you feel helpless.
I mean, like the only thing I can compare what you said that to is like when I had food poisoning because like I was just beside myself, useless. I kept thinking, I was like, dude, if somebody comes into this hotel room right now wanting to, it doesn't matter who they are, they'd fuck me up
exactly.
right now. And I'm just like, man, I don't like that feeling.
And I keep downplaying it. Like, granted, we've talked for an hour about the surgery. Yeah. And you being in the military. But I like, my mom, my girlfriend would be like, it's technically considered major surgery. Like, they cut you open, they removed an organ. But in my head, I'm like, it's just an appendectomy because we don't need our appendix. Like, whatever. Like, I should be
You don't need one of your kidneys.
But I was like, I should be okay. Like, I kept telling them, when I got out of the surgery, the next day, I was standing up and I was on the phone with work. And I was like, I'll be back probably Tuesday or Wednesday. And they're all looking at me like, no.
Yeah.
Like, are you dumb?
I'm the same way you are though.
But that's
right now.
Why
I
mentality is like I'll be fine. Like, people have had way worse, but I mean it was bad. Like, I had poison coursing through my body.
Dude, that's fucking
and
wild.
The best way to put it, like with how much you want to move and you're at it. Like this week, my energy isn't like by energy I mean strength isn't there for my usual workouts where I'm working out my full workout myself. I'll work out with a client and then I'll do cardio and core at the end of the day. Like, that's not happening for another 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But think of it like when you're sick, you got a stuffy nose, you can't sleep because you're just like,
yeah, story of my life every night, dude.
And then you're just like, dude, if I could just breathe through one nostril, I'd be great. And then finally, like, if I could just, once I'm healthy, you're in the greatest mood. Like, life is in color again.
Yeah.
Really, you got all the energy in the world. The minute you can breathe, like, you slept well, you wake up, you're not like trying to get like a snot ball out of your nose, shit like that. But you have all the energy in the world. It's like that times 10 when you, for a month, because like for a month I haven't done anything.
Yeah.
People, Jake having ACL surgery and not be on the move for like 2 months or 6 weeks or whatever. And him finally rehabbing it, or we can actually go skiing now, stuff like that. Like,
so
it's gotta feel amazing.
Yeah, I guess that's. I'm curious to see how that goes. That'll be awesome.
Yeah, he tore it last year. He's fine.
Okay, all right. But like with you, are you a little nervous going skiing? I mean,
yes,
you're gonna be at elevation as well.
Yeah, the elevation might scare me more. I don't know if it's like all of a sudden I'm just gonna pop.
Well, yeah, like I'm just thinking about the.
I got the full clear, so that's a good peace of mind. I went snowboarding Saturday this week.
Felt fine afterwards?
Yes. I felt actually really good. No pain, nothing. and I finally have like proper equipment, like goggles, so
I'm
I can
assuming
see.
cardio is probably one of the better forms of exercise.
Well, they
to do
told
right
me
now
I could
for
do
you.
cardio to comfort basically after 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But I was like, I have no energy, and so I would like walk on it. I would walk on a treadmill at like a 1.5.
Yeah.
I
That's
was
nice
like,
that
that's
your
enough.
lady also is like in the nursing background, so she's like, I think about some of my ex-girlfriends and trying to pick their brain on what would be a good thing to do, and they'd just be like, I don't know, maybe just not do anything, curl up in a ball.
She's great. And she doesn't think what she says gives me peace of mind, but it definitely does, and I value her opinion a lot on what she says. And she's an absolute sweetheart because she does like research for me. She's like, all right, this is that. I'm like, that's great. I'm just the kind of person, like, I want to hear it from like 90 people that I'm going to be okay.
Yeah.
And so like I have a client who's a doctor, and then her being a nurse, and then my actual doctor. I'm like, between the three of you all being like, you should be okay. I'm like, okay, we're good.
Man, yeah. No,
I'm a big second opinion person.
I love. Oh yeah, I'll ask multiple people. Like I thought I had a hernia today. Actually, it's funny. Like I was asking people at work. I was like, "What do you
feel
think?"
this?
Yeah, I was like sitting there, and I'm like literally like going like this on my couch at work. I'm like, it doesn't really hurt right here. And then they're like, "Where does it hurt?" I'm like on my testicle, and I'm like right on your testicle. And then we kind of got to the point after about half an hour, instead of a hernia, we think somebody just kicked me in the nuts during jiu-jitsu, and I didn't feel it during practice. And then afterwards, I was like, just got kicked in the nuts.
From what I've learned and looking up, you'll feel a bump. It's like a very
soft everybody
bump.
said. My
and
testicles
then if
just
you lay
tender.
down and that bump goes away, then yeah, it's probably a hernia. But
do you think I have cancer?
No.
That's good.
I thought I had testicular cancer last year, and I checked my nuts so much that I had so much pain in them.
Yeah,
and when I got checked out,
it
was I have it as a bit. It's the longest bit I have. I checked them so much that I had to go to the doctor and pull my pants down in front of a lady, and she goes, all right, I don't feel anything. Can you show me where you think this lump is? And I made a motion with my testicle that made my female doctor go, hey, don't fucking do that.
Yeah.
I go, what do you mean? She goes, they're not supposed to move like that. You're feeling the very top of your testicle, which you think is the side because you have it fucking upside down.
Oh, my God, dude.
And I was like,
You can't play with that.
yeah. And I'm also someone who's just, I work myself up. Like we had a cancer scare in our family. And so I was like, immediately, I'm like, I have testicular cancer. And I learned that once you hit 25, you have a very significantly low chance of developing testicular cancer.
Once you hit 25?
Yeah, 25 and older, they're like, you probably don't. It's probably not testicular cancer.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's younger than
Yeah,
that?
it's a young person's like
Really?
cancer. Yeah.
Oh, I had no idea.
And you're like 52, so you're fine.
How dare you, first of all. I'm 32 and I'm in phenomenal shape,
Yeah,
okay?
better shape than I
Well, especially right now,
Yeah.
you coming off of death's door, dude. So I guess like has it changed any part of this sounds kind of gay saying out loud, but like your mentality, your mindset,
Yeah,
like your
big time.
approach to
Like,
life?
The big one is appreciating the fact that I can move.
Yeah.
And I've been like this just in general lately. I think in the last 2 years I've matured a lot as a person. I'm like going for things I want to do, whether it's stand up or just like admitting like, I want to spend time with my friends. Like I don't need to be like,
Well, you're full on grown up now, man.
Yeah, no, I'm not. But
well, I mean, legally.
Age-
You're out of
age-wise,
school.
yeah.
Out of school. You're living on
but
your own.
it's like I mean, I don't think I almost died. Some people say I almost died.
I mean, you would have been dead in another time.
I could have if I would have waited another. I could have gone into
good thing you
sepsis.
ate that red meat. Dude.
I could have gone into
wild.
sepsis. That's what they were worried about. But I don't know. Just like go do some stuff. Be very happy and appreciative that you can move the way I do. I can move the way I do.
Yeah.
I'm like now training myself, which is nice. Like it was my goal to get back into like a certain shape. Like I put on weight, but I was like, I want to be lean. I want to keep the weight, but I want to look. I don't want to be.
You got
built.
lean.
I got fucking lean, but I look like the Pillsbury Doughboy. For a while, I looked like a a meth addict Pillsbury doughboy.
Like you survived, just
with
got out of Auschwitz.
All the bruises on me from all the needlings.
A heroin addict.
But yeah, no, I'm very happy. I was hesitant to go on this trip for financial reasons, which is stupid. I can afford this trip that I'm going on tomorrow.
Sure.
But I'm so happy now. I was like, go spend time with your friends.
Yeah.
Go have fun. Go
Money will
move,
come
exercise.
Back. You can pick up an extra shift.
The importance I put on exercise and core strength now is insane. Or and because I'll have clients, I'm like, listen, I couldn't lift my trash bag up because someone poked me in the stomach. In my core, like, you guys, we need to work on this. Like, I know you hate it, but like,
dude, honestly, I feel like this is gonna help you relate with so many clients that are just coming in off the street. Like, one thing that like I've had a hard time, that like I feel like as a trainer I'm personable enough, like where people know that I'm not judging them or anything like that. But I've never not been in shape.
Yeah.
And it's not like a vanity thing. It's not like that. It's like it's a form of mental health for me because I know I'm like a little crazy, and I know I need to like exercise myself to exhaustion to get those demons extinguished as much as I can. But I've noticed with clients or like potential clients, talking to them over the years in like a training relationship, like I can't understand what it's like to not be able to move my body. I don't know what, like, other than that food poisoning one day moment, I've always been active. I've always been mobile, and like from the time I was a child, and and I'm 32 now, so it's not like I'm an old fart, but I'll have clients come in off the couch, like, who are like 40, 50, or have never exercised before. And like sometimes more in the past, like we just didn't see eye to eye because we were coming like from two different worlds, and they would gravitate towards trainers that maybe dealt with injuries, dealt with weight issues themselves, because they related more on those like mental hurdles, which totally makes sense. But I feel like you as a trainer it's going to help you like so much, just relate to people to feel like, dude, I know what it feels like to feel helpless and not be able to do it, not even be able to lift 10 pounds. Like, but I also know where I'm like, hey, you're being a bitch at this point. Right. Like, you have you have every capability to move. You should be moving. Like, there isn't an excuse. Like with Rachel making you go on the walk.
Exactly. A part of me was a little concerned, like, this hurts right now. And she's like, you're fine. Right. But
then once you got moving, then you felt fine.
And that was the thing, is like, for a while, it was like, honestly, like, I would pee, and then like just right here, be like, I couldn't stretch. I'm like, it doesn't feel good to walk. But then as I moved more, it just go away, and then I was totally fine. And so it was basically just like, you got to get used to. Part of me thinks it was like they were still flushing the contrast and whatever out of my system. Yeah. But because, dude, also, the medical bills I'm about to have are stupid.
Yeah, you went to Madison and you got sent to the hospital overnight. You're gonna be in debt for the rest of your life, and you're a personal trainer, so you're gonna be in debt for the rest.
Thank
of your life.
God I don't have any student debt.
How?
I have a very wonderful family.
Oh wow! Okay,
yes.
Cool, nice. Hey man, that's every parent's dream.
Yep.
Every
and
parent's goal.
The medical bills are going to suck, for sure. It's
Dad, help.
CT scans.
That's going to be rough.
3 of them.
Dude, at least you had insurance, though.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I'm not going to lie. I literally signed up for I haven't had health insurance for over a year. Signed up for it the other day, and I was mad at myself after I signed up for it, because I made such a big anxiety thing in my head about like signing up for it and then having to spend like hundreds of dollars every month just to be covered for something I'm not going to use.
That might not happen.
I qualified. I pay $120 a month.
That's not bad at all.
Complete health insurance, complete dental, complete vision, mental health, and I have a $0 copay for $120 a month. through
Yeah.
Obamacare. Like, it was the easiest fucking thing I've done. I was mad that I like procrastinated so much, but I was just like, I'm 32. I need to have
Need it,
health insurance.
especially for Ollie's sake.
Well, Ollie has insurance through his mom.
Yes, but like,
to
for
keep,
so you don't go homeless, and then your guys'
that's a
play
good
dates
point.
aren't under the bridge.
Yeah, that's true. Dude, there's this homeless guy that lives by our house who always hangs out under this bridge on First Street, from Walker's Point into Bayview. And so every time we pass the bridge, he's like, the guy's out, because he's a pretty good artist. Like, he draws all over under the bridge, and he's like, what's he drawing today? But that's our guy.
Well, I'm glad I'm not homeless.
Yeah,
we
man.
got to
I'm
wrap
glad
this
you're
up
okay, dude.
because I got to pack.
Yeah.
No, you're good. I have to pack. I haven't touched a single thing for this trip yet.
Yeah, man, be safe, dude.
Yeah.
Be safe. Well, I'm glad you're okay.
Yeah.
What do we do? Do we
I don't
just end
know.
it?
I want to keep doing the twice baked. Once I get the second lapel mic, we're halfway there.
Yeah. No rush.
I'll
I'm
do
down
it
to
again.
This stuff
that
is fun too. I like doing this.
Oh, I love
just
this.
Chilling.
That is my goal this year is self promotion a little better and doing this more consistently. But this last month has been a little tricky.
He had a good excuse. I know. I had a bunch of buddies ask me, like, whatever happened to Twice Spectrum? I'm like, the guy almost died.
Yeah.
I think he's AIDS. I don't know what's going on. He's got sickle cell or something.
So I'm in the clear, and as long as I don't break anything on this trip, knock on wood, we'll be back at it.
Cool. We're in the clear. We're in the steer. We're a little queer. And I will see you later, Amir.
Absolutely.
All right. Bye.
Thanks, buddy.